So, I am back, and this video is going to be talking about a film I kind of wish I didn't spend $4 on, and I feel very bad for the family member who has a hold of my account. So for those who do not know, Curse of Wolf Mountain is an indie film starring Tobin Bell, Danny Trejo, Kelly Pierce, I almost said Kylie Pierce, Kelly Pierce I believe is how you pronounce it, and it is available on iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. I watched it on YouTube, and a few other streaming platforms, if I am not mistaken. I only know about this film because I have a few acquaintances who were involved in the making of the movie, and they told me that it was released, and so I decided to go and watch it. They should have just given me the free link. Is the film good? We will get to that. I wrote down all of my notes, my first impressions, and in summary, I have uno, dos, tres, well, let's just do page by page. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. A lot of pages, a lot to get through. I'm going to try and do this as fast as I can because I'm going to need a drink after this. You might as well pour yourself a cold one, boys and girls, because we have a lot to talk about. Number one, I always confuse the title, and if you hear me say Witch Mountain, just know I mean Wolf Mountain, because I kept calling it Witch Mountain when I was telling my friend about it. So let's talk characters first. Top big build name is obviously the Tobin Bell, aka Jigsaw, from a little indie film you may or may not have heard of it, Saw. So he's in like 2 scenes in this hour and 30-some minute film, Bell, even though he is basically just using the John Kramer voice and acting style, but hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I cannot label Tobin Bell's character as my favorite because that's just too easy. I also can't do that to Danny Trejo because Machete, case in point. So if I had to pick a favorite character, it would probably be, oh my gosh, what's his name? James, played by Matt Rife, I believe is the actor's name. He's the best part about this film. Honestly, I love James. I think James is hilarious. Sadly though, our story does not follow the boyfriend character of James. Our story follows the character AJ, played by, I believe that's Kelly Price. I keep saying Pierce, it's Kelly Price, I believe. He's fine. I found him to be a little whiny at times. I also know that he and the guy who played his brother Max, I believe they both wrote this film together. It is the most bare bone of bare bone plots. It is the bone marrow of bone bearer plots. So with AJ, he was probably one of the more boring protagonists that I've seen in a film in a hot second, at least for like the past a year or two. And I've seen some pretty boring film. Then we have Max, I think played by David Lipper, if I'm not mistaken. He did good. I think he has good acting chops. Again, there's no like Oscar winning types of characters and character portrayals in this film.
So there's not gonna be Wi-Fi?
No, there has to be Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi.
What about hotspot? It has to be hotspot.
You're my hotspot.
Ay, ya.
Then we have Lita about to ask me, Lita, where's Machete? Where's Danny? Where's baby girl? Danny is unimportant. He doesn't matter. And that breaks my heart. But he plays a robber. I think his character's name was Eddie. There are 3 robbers, and one of them I don't even think had a name because he real quick. Then we also have, I did not write down his name, the other robber, the one that makes it the longest out of the 3. Spoiler alert, if you plan to waste your money and watch this film. So he's irrelevant, unfortunately. He's basically there to bring in viewers like myself. We also have the 3 Rangers. I love the Rangers. I wish the movie was about the Rangers. We have Duffy, we have Dennis, and we have April. All 3 of them are trying so hard in this movie, and they, with the actor of James, make this movie bearable to watch. We have 2 more characters, and then I'm going to get into the plot of this film and all of my notes. So we have Cousin Rick I think the actor is a comedian because he had a lot of comedic dialogue. He was fine. There were some parts where I feel like the comedy could have been set aside for a second, because if you think this film is a 100% serious film, you're going to be in for quite a surprise. I think the actors did fine for the majority of them, not all of them, but a lot of them did a really good job. Buster, he's a cute little dog. He's irrelevant, but I love dogs. There were no jump scares, and usually with B movies like this, I'm expecting to just have jump scare city. It wasn't even jump scare village. I did like 20 seconds of research for this movie outside of what I was told by my acquaintances. So this film, if I'm not mistaken, David Lipper said was made in 8 days. 2 days at a set house, and then 6 days, I believe they said, in the park in Los Angeles during COVID times. So that explains a lot, but it does not explain the editing choices. David Lipper had tried to kind of push off the day for night shots, which is basically shooting at noon, putting a blue filter over it, lowering your shadows to make it look like night, and it looks awful every single time. I don't think I've ever seen a good day for night shoot. So we open our film with a flashback, and the flashback sort of confused me because they used every single editing software within Sony Vegas Pro, it looked like, or Final Cut, because every filter and special effect was in this flashback. And it's supposed to be through the eyes of young AJ, our lead character. But the way it's shot, it's not shot like it's through the eyes of a person. It looks like it's being shot cinematically. See a linebacker in a wolf mask with what looked like an axe, and then we cut to the doctor's office. I may or may not have had a whiskey cola while I was writing my notes. I basically wrote, Jigsaw, the best character so far. The office scene cinematography reminds me of my high school short film days. I also had said that every line that Tobin had voiced was strictly written for the trailer. AJ is at Jigsaw's office talking about how he keeps having these visions of what we saw in the opening intro. And the doctor is basically telling him, I like this message about trauma as someone who has lived through traumatic experiences, how trauma can be unpredictable. So we have to be very mindful of how we go about uncovering memories that our trauma-induced amnesia gives us. Something I struggled with. And I thought that was a really good insight. And he worded it very well about how we have to be cautious, and if our mind won't let us get past a certain point, there may be good reason. And then they throw all of that away in the next breath by him then saying, if you really want to figure it out, just go to the frickin' mountain. Just go to the place where they died 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I would love for them to tell me what the heck he's gonna find at a national park 20 years ago where they fell off the cliff. What do you think you're gonna find? Maybe some rubbers, and that's pretty much it. I saw a couple of other people review this film, and they made a really good point to note that the title sequences and the credits for the actors and such in the beginning are paced so unevenly. Like, you'll blink and you'll miss 5 names, and then you'll be staring at a name for like another solid 7. I don't want to miss what I wrote here. I said, we meet AJ and his girlfriend Sam with exposition and symbolism up the wazoo. I said the chemistry is decent between Sam and AJ. Honestly, Sam looks like a version of Elizabeth Olsen to me. Thoughts in the chat? Okay. I cannot stand when exposition is just dumped onto me verbally. Let me see it visually. Show it to me artistically. Don't tell me, because then I feel stupid. So basically we find out that Sam is pregnant and everyone is over here to celebrate the pregnancy, and it's not really a baby shower, it's just, woohoo, you're pregnant. It was very weird. Basically just to get our stereotypical montage dance sequence pool party thing going. And there is this scene did not have to exist, right? It did not need to be in this film. So it is 5, maybe 6 seconds long, and it is James and Emma are in the hot tub, and they just look at each other. The only lines in this entire scene are, you want to get out of here? Yep. So he gets up, and then she stands up and turns, so her whole peach, her whole booty is taking up 89% of the screen. You're welcome.
You want to get out of here?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So
So the next scene is a bonfire with the adults. I mean, they're all technically adults, but you know what I mean. The brother, AJ, and their spouses. So the spouses go in to grab dessert, and so now we are just left with the brothers. The brothers are doing the stereotypical talk about his past traumas and wanting to go out there and see if he can find anything. It's very much worded to fit a trailer scene. And I said how at least Max tells him that's really not going to change anything if you look at it realistically. It's been 2 decades, my guy. What are you going to find out there? This is where the film starts to really make me angry. The exact vision he has, which is parents are on the edge of the cliff about to Superman off of it, and he sees the killer, essentially, in this mask. He says, I feel like something's looking at me in this vision. And I wrote, feels like someone looking at you in your flashback. You mean the 6'2" masked man who took up 85% of the screen? Him? So Sam and him are cuddling in bed. The rest of them had gone home or to the guest room or to go bang by the pool. I don't know. And Sam is talking to him in bed and he says, I just have a bad feeling about this mountain. Really, I don't think you really made that very clear, AJ. You don't have to put the... Anyway, bad feeling about this place, the mountain. I mean, I can give you a good theory. Your folks were slice and dice there. That ought to do. People watching this video, I have a quick question for you. If you are paranoid and you are reliving traumatic memories of dear beloved family members' lives coming to a brutal, sudden end, and you have a spouse who is about to bring you a new generation of your family, your own flesh and blood, would you take them? And then out of nowhere, everyone else decides that they're going to, including Max, his wife, her sister, her boyfriend. Why? We all know it's for the body counts, to rack up bodies, but realistically, why? Why would you do? There's no point for them to go. They don't know anything about this. It's actually revealed later that they didn't even know part of this Wolfman legend, because of course there's a legend in this B horror film about the murders, and they had no idea AJ was the surviving boy from, what did they say, 1998 or something like that. It makes no sense for them to even be going. So the one guy has a wound, the robber Uno. So he is pretty much knocking on death's door. He's about to make the Grim Reaper some tea. And so they're digging this guy's early grave, right? And so this man who could barely stand, he's leaning against trees. He's toppling over. He is breathing his last breath. He's also a track star, giving Usain Bolt a run for his money when the time comes to it. And as fun as it was to see Danny Trejo randomly shoot as he's tripping over his thoughts and feelings, it does nothing in the end because the robber trips down a hill and lands his head into a rock. R.I.P. robber number 1. We hardly knew. I hate Emma and James. I wrote Jake for some reason. I think I wanted to write Chad at one point. They're the most cliched lines of how old people think millennials and or Gen Z talk, which is not true. There was this weird moment of Spanish in the film because what the point was. I also love how they struggle with that suitcase. There's nothing in it. So finally, our robbers and our campers finally run into each other. And I wrote, the delayed reaction to Danny Trejo approaching the campsite made me choke on my drink. You couldn't... Anyway, I wrote how the color grading in this film, for all the technical people who love to talk tech with me, it's so inconsistent because either someone looks too yellow, too green, it's too dark, it's too light. So nighttime falls and we are blessed with the adult hub sound effects of love, sweet, sweet love making between Lexi, Max, Emma, and James. The pregnant couple don't get to do anything. They just talk about how, can the baby feel it? If I do the do with you? We get it, your parents went skydiving off of Wolf Mountain. Oh my God. So I wrote here, the sex scenes genuinely made me laugh. Big Bro and Lexi are auditioning for America's Next Top Hub, while Emma in the next tent is literally half asleep on top of her boyfriend. His name is James. Let me just say, if you really want to appreciate the day for night shoots, they look really good once your 4 whiskey colas in. So morning rolls around and both of our couples are gone, so we are left with AJ and Sam. AJ doesn't care. where they might or might not be, if they're alive or not, or if a coyote made them into a midnight snack. He doesn't care. Instead, he acts like a junkie who is mowing their lawn at 6 in the evening. Anyway, I'll just talk really, really loud. So he's acting like a junkie at this point, not out of nervousness to go up to the cliff. He's acting like he needs a fix. So around the like 40-some minute mark out of this hour and a half film, you remember it's a horror film because we get our first kill. So our first to go is Danny Trejo, but he made it further than I thought he was going to make it, honestly. James was next to go, and it broke my heart. He was the most bearable thing to watch in this film, and he died a satisfied man. So you tell me this, riddle me this, right? You hear Emma scream. You hear your in-law's sister scream. Your sister-in-law. Yes, your sister-in-law. Screaming. Bloody murder, right? You hop out of that tent. It is a hop away. It's a sneeze away from you. You rush in, and Emma's gone. James is gone. James also got his esophagus pureed. There's no blood. And within those 2 seconds, Emma, who was nothing on her lower region because they were doing the do with a bra on, the killer was so polite to give her a chance to put on a sweater / hoodie, biker shorts, and even shoes. This killer's so nice. This killer's so sweet. Emma is our next to go. They did pull a cute little moment where she almost falls into a bear trap, but the bear trap's not meant for her as a character. Instead, she gets gutted, I think, question mark. And even with the killer finally showing up to this campsite, there's no suspense. There are no jump scares. I'm not even a jump scare fan. I don't like jump scares. But I was wanting one at this point because there's nothing happening. So there was a moment earlier in the film when they got to the mountain at the base, when they were talking to the rangers, that the brother was showing AJ these new hiking boots that he got. They don't ever bring him up again because when we get to his death scene, the body is covered by leaves and all you see are those hiker boots. Foreshadowing? Yes. Was it subtle? Absolutely not. We're moving on. Some of the one-liners did make me giggle. I can't think off the top of my head some of them because I didn't write them down, but they were funny. The chase scenes, everyone is running at a slight, airy jog. So by the time we get to the character's death and we finally get to see the killer in all of their stumpy glory, I wrote, you can see the twist so far away, it's at the base of this stupid mountain. Rick shows up to the set and he wants to help because he got a call earlier from AJ, but he couldn't make out what was being said, so he went to go check on them. He gets caught by the masked wolf man, and Rick won't shut the hell up. When he gets tortured for a hot second, and it wasn't, he was being too comedic to where I didn't feel worried for him. So basically, robber number 3 finally goes when he gets his foot caught in a bear trap, and for the most split of seconds, you can see it, and it's not good, and then he falls into another bear trap. R.I.P. So AJ is running. Rick has Sam, and they're running the opposite way. I don't remember how the 3 got split up. It doesn't matter. So AJ trips on the softest moss you've ever seen in your entire life, and the man acts like he broke both of his ankles. The killer's nowhere to be seen, by the way. I think he's running from his own thoughts at this point. Every time we cut back to Sam and Rick, all I can think is, Rick has 8 concussions at this point, considering what he went through with the killer, right? He has blood here, like here. He is bruised. Why is the girl who has no injuries leaning on him as if she's knocking on death's door? So we finally get back to Duffy, Dennis, and April. The actor playing Dennis is another comedian, I believe, and he's having a ball. They're just having a fun time. A lot of the lines are improv because, again, they're actually funny and actually really good. Duffy is an hour away, actually at the campsite, whereas Dennis and April are trying to catch up after getting a call from him. Duffy, the head ranger, dies. He gets an axe to his back, right? And in the scuffle, Sam gets a fingernail indent stab wound to her rib area, and she's acting like she was like gut art style from the one with the clown, not Pennywise, Terrifier. So AJ and Sam reconnect with one another. I don't remember how. I don't know how she and Rick got split up. Anyway, so AJ's telling his wife, girlfriend, baby mama, don't fall asleep. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep. And she takes a nap, and no one says anything. Okay. And I said, I am convinced not one actually enjoyable character is going to make it through this. I also wrote down how at least there was the brand new car won't start cliche was not in this film when Rick finally made it back to his car. So somehow AJ, Sam, and the killer all meet up again. Dennis is gone, April is gone, Duffy is gone. So the killer meets up with AJ and Sam. The killer tries to sneak up on AJ over his shoulder, and so AJ decides to one-handedly yeet this man who is like probably closer to 6 feet tall, like he weighs 8 pounds. Trying to get the jump on the killer, Sam gets up behind him and goes bah! With a rock. And he's down for a second. Why she didn't double tap him, I don't know, because my mama taught me if I'm ever in that situation, aim for absolutely everything and do not stop. They don't do that because they don't have the budget to do that. And we also need to know who the killer is. So they tie up the killer and it is revealed that it is Max. Yes, the brother. The one that was in the leaves. We only saw the boots. We didn't see the body. Get it? Get it? Get it? It's foreshadowing. So basically we find out that AJ and Max aren't biological brothers. They are adopted brothers, technically. So Max was a foster kid and was adopted by AJ's biological parents. You know, the ones that went skydiving 20 years ago at the same exact cliff. And it's basically just the plot of, I don't like that there was a new baby in the family because now I'm not as important. So I got rid of them and raised you as my own son/brother. Also, the parents weren't killed. Max said that he gave them 2 options. He gave them the option of they jump and he lets little boy AJ live, or they don't jump and he just tosses all 3 of them over the cliff. And I guess he was around 18 years old, and why the father, who looked to be about the same build and size, didn't take on this punk is beyond me. So they get to the cliff. They get to the cliff of all cliffs. And they start monologuing. I hate monologuing. I would love it if a film was gonna start a monologue and then go psych and then push the person off the cliff or end their life. That'd be so funny. And I wrote, the people in this movie have the attention span of a walnut because the reason the whole fight started and the reason AJ won was because an eagle screaming distracted Max. You wanna know why? Because it's symbolism. So we then cut to 9 or so months later. Sam has her baby. Everyone's okay. Tobin's back for one more scene. And Max survived. How do I know? Because he goes to AJ's house. And the reason AJ is not home is because he and Rick are on their way to the airport. And then they are driving on the highway, it looks like. And a car zooms by. And somehow, instead of thinking that's just a really, really bad LA driver, so basically just an LA driver, he thinks that it's Max. It has to be. Because who else in Los Angeles, especially downtown Los Angeles, would drive frantically on the highway? We have a very non-suspenseful chase scene where she's hiding and he's trying to find her in this 1-story house, and no one grabs a weapon from the kitchen. Container. Bopped him over the head with it. No one calls 911 yet, and the foreshadowed sword makes its final appearance because everyone is going so slow when he gets back up and goes to wipe out this stupid family. Everyone is moving so slow. Not in slow motion, mind you. He walks over, he grabs the sword, turns around, blah. In all fairness, I didn't like this movie. I would never recommend this film. I would not watch it again, But my friend did watch it because we decided to watch it at the same time and send our little written reviews as we were watching it. My first impression of AJ's character is a suck-up. He is constantly whining and always has that poor me attitude. It's just easy seeing him being the victim his entire life. The psychologist, Dr. Avery, that's his name, had a sense of a forced, creepy calm. I think that's just Tobin. But Emma brings a suitcase on a hiking trip. Not a backpack, not a duffel bag. The decision is bad, but it's not nearly as bad as her acting. The timing was awful. Her lines sounded like she was reading them off screen. No real emotion. And her facial expressions never quite matched what was going on in the scene. Told us. How come AJ and Sam didn't bother checking out Max and Lexi's bodies to see if they were still alive or needed medical attention? I totally forgot that Lexi died. There were continuity errors. The one scene, Danny and Joe, that's the other robber's name, Joe, I forgot, are walking through the woods with no shovels, and Danny has a bag of money. Then they walk around some bushes, and then they have the shovels and the bag of money is gone. Probably why Emma had a suitcase instead of just a backpack. Fast forward, a lot more bad acting than Max trying to cut the ropes he's been tied with. You can see that the blade never actually touches the ropes around his wrist. He just kind of unwrangles himself real quick. And then Sam hits the murderer, Max, with the rock. Why didn't she hit him several more times? How come they never tried to recover Max's body? You're telling me there's a dead body on the cliff face and the authorities never attempted to make a recovery of it? It's not like he was lost at sea. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns about this film, I will do my very best to answer them in the comments down below. All of my social media links are in the description box, as well as a bunch of coupon codes to save you money on a bunch of cool things, as well as my books are also in the description box below if that so interests you. They are actually all horror related. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and comment what you would like to see next. If you have any suggestions for video ideas, I am always down to hear them. And with all that being said, I will see you all later.